guys, welcome back. Today we want to share with you something that we just discovered on our farm that's really exciting, and I'll have Michael explain it a little bit more in depth because he's the oyster mushroom expert.
So we wanted to figure out how we could utilize our spent substrate in our oyster mushroom production to be able to increase germination or increase yields. So what we actually did was we took about 3-month-year-old spent substrate, which is essentially the leftover substrate after the mushrooms have already fruited multiple times. Then they've eaten most of that nutrition inside of that substrate, and we'll take that and we tilled it into a few field beds, and we did some trials in the difference between what the germination rate is with radishes and carrots with it tilled in and without. Same levels of compost, same levels of fertilizer, and we also did use Agribond to even hold more moisture. So in the field blocks behind us, it's pretty amazing. We had about 3 to 4 times the amount of germination for our carrot beds with that substrate tilled in, and I'm guessing the reason is because we have a lot more moisture content being held in through that substrate inside of the soil. And it was almost too much germination for our carrots because now we most likely have to go back through and thin because we have them almost right on top of each other. The ones that didn't have the substrate are almost perfect spacing, ironically, but this does give us the capability of seeding less with a higher germination rate, so we'll save some money on seed.
And one thing I'm wondering is if, because there's mycelium in the soil, is there more microbial activity which is creating the higher germination rates?
Potentially, not necessarily simply because of the mycelium for the oysters, but my hypothesis would be that there's more organic matter. So there's more organic matter, there's going to be more homes and more food for the microorganisms to feed off of. And so that could create more of a network for more moisture content to be held in the soil. And potentially when we see in the yields, if we don't thin at all, which is what we're going to do for half the block, we'll be able to see how much per square foot we can get for our carrots, and same with the radishes. The germination was pretty similar. We had a little bit higher for the one with the substrate, but because they germinate so quickly, it's not as much needed as a carrot that takes about 7 to 10 days to germinate.
So the other thing, we've done quite a bit of research on mycelium cleaning up the soil, and so another reason we're really excited to share this with you, because of course we're getting higher yields, which is really exciting for the farm, but also on a bigger scale, something that we're curious about and we're questioning and just trying to figure out if there's a possibility that the mycelium can clean up the soil and sequester any toxins that might have been on this land before, because in World War II we do know that this land was farmed commercially in a large scale way with a lot of pesticides. So something that we don't really know because we're not doing all the scientific research, but it could be that it's also taking out anything that could be inhibiting more growth. Is that correct?
It is true, yeah. There was a study done, I believe in 1999, where a professor took the spent substrate and put it inside of a bag mixed with soil, and they also layered the soil with that spent substrate. And they found that the mixed soil with that spent substrate was the most efficient way to kick back the hydrocarbons inside of the soil. And they found that 83% of the hydrocarbons in that soil were actually removed, which is essentially the toxins that come from burning of oil, burning of gas, any type of course, pesticides or toxic chemicals that are used in the soil. So the fact that the soil and those spent substrates inside of the soil removed up to 83% of those hydrocarbons can completely bioremediate any of the soil that we farm on, and that way we don't just toss that spent substrate into the trash or around trees, but we can actually recultivate that back into our soil and create that closed loop system.
We're super stoked on these results and we're really excited to share them with you. And next we just want to show you some footage of what the beds look like behind us, where we had the substrate in the soil and where we didn't. So we're gonna hop over there and show you right now.
So this bed is the bed that has no spent substrate in it. You can see that it's a little spotty germination, still good, but it's not perfect down the rows, and as we go up and it starts to get denser, that's exactly where the spent substrate starts. And you can find that it's almost too dense. There's a couple spots here and there, but the germination rate is about 3 times as much as the one without the spent substrate. So hopefully this helps with any issues that you all have with germination, and something that you can increase your germination with, whether that be the spent substrate or whether that just be more compost and more organic matter.
We'd love to hear from you. If you want to drop us a comment below, we'd love to hear what you thought of this video. And if you're trialing yourself, we'd also love to hear from you because we're all learning together. And please subscribe, share this video with anybody that would benefit, and we'll see you next time.